The SixenseVR SDK is a cross-platform API that uses position and orientation data from motion sensors to provide a full-body skeletal pose for the user's avatar. In this example, we're going to use 3 motion trackers, one attached to the head and one in each hand. Using data from the sensor attached to the head, we could provide position for each of the hands accurately within the user's field of vision, ensuring near-perfect hand-eye coordination and a calibration-free experience. Okay, here we are inside of Unity, and I'm going to be talking about the SixenseVR SDK and the developer tools that we have supporting the SDK inside of Unity. One of the things that developers want to be able to do when they're inside of VR, and especially when using our tracking technology as well, is to be able to provide full body awareness. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. So we've tried to keep things very straightforward. We have a SixenseVR menu item where you can select Create Avatar, and it brings up a window that has searched through the entire project and found compatible characters for the system. And what that means is that it is rigged and of an animation type humanoid. Basically, it means set up for Mechanum. The next step is very simple. You can select New, and this creates a prefab with the selected character model, where we have all the components necessary to drive the system. You can see here we have a forward transform, and underneath that we have the OVR camera controller. This drives the Oculus Rift. We have the actual character mesh itself, and then we have the SixSense input system, which consists of a head tracker and a left and right hand tracker. Now those can be seen here as visual representations on the prefab itself, and you can use these buttons to select them. In this case, you select the Oculus Rift and the right and the left stem. Okay, so we know enough about the topology of the character to align and position these visual aids very closely, and you can see when I change the model here that they are aligned with the joints and whatnot. Okay, so now the next step is to go ahead and grab the actual Oculus Rift and put it onto the character's face like he's wearing the Rift himself. And then we go to the right controller, and we're going to actually move them both simultaneously. We have a mirrored option enabled. If you do not want that behavior, you can uncheck this mirror left and right checkbox and move them independently. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to move the controller into his hand and make it look like he is actually gripping the controller himself. And this is actually very critical. You want to ensure that the grip of the controller in the avatar's hand matches very similarly what it would be if you were holding the controller itself. Okay, so that is the basics for setting up a character. If I was to hit the play button, you would see that he has locomotion, custom IK driving the limbs, and head position tracking. Before I do hit the play button, let's add a couple other things to the scene. In this case, we're going to bring in a weapon, and I can just grab from a prefab that we've downloaded from the asset store, the Unity asset store, which is just a revolver, and it's just a mesh renderer. So to bring this to life, we're going to go ahead and add some components. We're going to add a rigid body. We're going to add a mesh collider and enable convex collision. And that's basically all you need now to interact with any type of object. But we're going to go further and give this some behavior. So we're adding a gun script. And our gun script requires some other type of effects. So we have an impact effect, we have a muzzle flash, and we're going to go ahead and assign those. Now, you've probably already developed your own weapon and So this may not be as important to you, but I will get to the important thing right now. So our weapon is set up. The last thing we want to do is add a new component called a grab controller. And this spawns a visual representation of a stem controller again. And what you want to do is align the controller to the grip of the handle. And this ensures proper placement when the character interacts with the weapon. And so when the character goes to grab the weapon, we'll mate these two controllers, the one on the weapon and the one in the hand. Okay, so that's basically it. For any other type of object you want to interact with that doesn't require any sort of information about the grip, you just need a rigid body and a box collider or any type of collider. So we'll go ahead and bring those in here in the scene as well. Okay, so that is basically it. Let me go ahead and show you how this actually is going to all come to life. Let me get my Oculus Rift on. And I'll position let me position the camera so you can see a little bit more detail. But you should see some lines that are going to be overlaid onto the character, which represents the skeletal information you're getting back from the SixenseVR SDK. Okay, so I'm going to hit play. And now you can see I have hands. And I can walk. And I can reach out and interact with this object. I can grab the weapon, aim down the sights, and fire. And there you have it.